All right. Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and get rolling if that's okay with everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the May 16th EQUIP subgroup meeting. We're hoping this meeting is not going to last as long as we scheduled it on the Zoom. But having said that, we do have a lot of really important updates today. We're going to go through some issues relating to thresholds, the quality incentives. We're going to talk about where we are on the new bundles that we're trying to add, which we're working very quickly on, and give some enrollment updates. So we are still full steam ahead to have enrollment this summer, which is very exciting. We are working very hard. Krista and Kim are really working very hard to try to get as many of the proposed bundles approved as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and let us jump right into it by turning it over to Krista to give us an update on the ahead stuff. Krista, it is all yours.
Great. Thank you, Jean. This is going to be a very brief update, but I just wanted to let this group know that HSCRC, MDH, the Maryland Department of Health, and others are still in discussions with CMS and CMMI on the AHEAD model. And we are currently in negotiations with them as things are evolving, and we will plan to bring any update to this group as soon as we have them. But there is really no other update to report other than we're still in negotiations with them about the model.
And I think our last meeting, John actually gave a pretty good update on what was going on. So if anybody missed that, that's a good, you can watch that recording on the website.
Yeah.
Yep, it's also on CRISP has it on YouTube for anyone who is interested in looking at it as well. Okay. Hi everyone, Kim Dixon here. I'm so sorry I'm not on screen for whatever reason. My video is not working today, so just bear with me as we go through these slides real quick here. So important update, I want to make sure everyone is aware that CRISP is migrating to the HIE, or what we call CRISP portal. This is extremely important for all of the EQIP users, both for administrative proxies and lead care partners. We did touch on this a little bit last subgroup meeting, but I just wanted to remind everyone again. Starting June 9th, we will be migrating all the users from the CRISP reporting website into the CRISP portal. So by June 30th, the only way you're going to be able to access the EQIP episode entity portal will be through the actual CRISP portal, okay? This is super important because you will not be able to apply to CRISP if you do not have your proper access through the CRISP portal. What this means for you all, though, is that there's no more separate logins. It's all one place for all of your stuff, which is good. There's no other alternative URLs. Everything is just in one spot. So that will make it a little nice for everyone, hopefully. So to get ready for this transition, the CRISP technical team is currently working behind the scenes to create the CRISP portal user accounts for all of the current EQIP participants that we have. So what you need to expect is in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be receiving an email from CRISP inviting you to activate your CRISP portal account if you do not already have one. And all administrative proxies and lead care partners, this email will be going to you. So this email will include simple instructions, getting you to help you set your password and complete your entire setup. So please be sure to follow the activation steps. And if you run into any issues at all, we're always here to help. So please just reach out to us at equip@crisphealth.org. And then once your account is successfully activated, you'll receive a confirmation email from the EQIP team to let you know your access is ready. Something very, very important to understand, we're asking all EQIP users right now, because of this migration occurring, we're asking you to not make any changes to any administrative proxies to your entities until after this migration has occurred. So please save all of those changes for when you're actually in the portal for the application. Again, as a reminder, right after June 30th, you will no longer be able to access the EQIP portal by any other method except by using the CRISP portal. So activating your CRISP portal account, it's not optional. It's you have to do it. It's essential. So appreciate your attention to all of this. I'm sure there will be some snags along the way, but that's okay. That's what our team here is for, to sort of help you work through any kind of issues that you're having. Just keep an eye out for that activation email. And again, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any issues. Okay, so this next couple of slides is really just going to show you what it's going to look like. This is the actual CRISP portal. This is what it's going to look like when you log in, and you'll see your reports tab right here, and you'll be able to log in there and get your get all the data that you need, like you would from the CRISP EP portal, from the reports portal. You would select the Medicare population, and then you would select the EQIP enrollment portal. So you will have access to all of this once you follow the instructions in the email, okay? And again, once you get into that reports tab, it's going to look exactly the same. Nothing else has changed inside of the portal, so it's all the same, all right? On to data release schedule. So I keep this in here because I just want to make sure that everybody is clearly aware of when things are going to be updated within the ePortal. As of right now, all of these dates currently on this schedule is correct and accurate, but please, folks, please keep in mind that data releases are really dependent upon the data that we do receive from CMS and when we receive it. So these dates are subject to change as things come into play, depending on, you know, whatever claims we get, and then the internal validations that we have to do. So timeframes may shift just a little bit. Okay, so thank you for understanding and your patience on that. All right, now we're going to get into the 75% threshold for MPIs. We've had some people questioning this, and so we wanted to sort of review this with everybody, and the why behind it. So one of the most important eligibility rules in EQIP is the 75% NPI threshold. And basically, here's what this means. For every clinical episode your EQIP entity selects, at least 75% of the MPIs on your roster must have a triggered episode in that category during the baseline year for the current year that you're going to be in. So this time it's going to be for PY5. The current baseline year is still 2019, except for ED. Okay. If you're a smaller entity with 10 or fewer MPIs, that threshold drops to 50%. If your entity can't meet this threshold, then the entity just, you can't participate. All right. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, the why behind it. Because EQIP is built to support meaningful participation across your entire practice or group, it's really not about relying on a few high performers. It's really about fostering broad engagement and shared accountability in the care transformation arena. So our goal is to encourage team-based approach where everyone is invested in improving the outcomes. The 75% rule creates that balance and support for several core values within EQIP. Engagement, it ensures that more than just your top doctors are in the game. Statistical validity, meaning having meaningful sample size of triggered episodes allows us to set reliable target prices. Accountability, where the entire care team can contribute and has shared ownership in the performance. And then fairness, the balance. Everyone plays by the same rules, whether you're a large group or a solo practice. These standards do apply across the board. We know this can be challenging, but it does make EQIP a better, more credible program for everyone across the board. All right, now we've heard the concerns and I want to acknowledge them. Yes, the baseline is 2019 and it feels outdated. We agree. But it is used because it's a stable pre-COVID year with complete claims data, and it helps set equitable pricing across the state. We also understand that your new providers may not have claims in 2019, and that's okay. EQIP does allow them to join as probationary participants, and while they don't count towards the 75% NPI threshold, they can remain active in the program if they trigger at least one episode during the first half of the performance year. So when the baseline does change, they will have established baseline volumes, and they will be fully counted in those in that for the future years. We know that there are big questions about the baseline year, and while we're not able to change it for this upcoming program, please know we hear your concerns. Behind the scenes, we're actively exploring options for future updates that could benefit all EQIP participants. It is something we are very much taking seriously, and we're committed to, continuing these investigations and conversations. In the meantime, what's important for you to remember is the care team, your care team right now, is delivering quality care, and it's becoming a part of future calculations, performance calculations. Your efforts today are laying the groundwork for tomorrow's results. Yes, the EQIP structure, including the shared savings opportunity, is designed to benefit new providers joining your team. So while we can't change the past and your current work absolutely matters, it's shaping the trajectory of your practice under EQIP. So just stay focused on the long game, because your continued engagement is what drives lasting impact. Okay.
So Kim, can I make a comment real quick on
Please
this?
do. Yes.
Yeah, I just think the other thing I'd point out is that one of the things that CRISP and MedChi are willing to do is to meet with anybody who's concerned about this, because if you redesign your entities, that might be a way to work within the system, and it fits with the goals of what we're trying to do. You could break your entity up into smaller entities that are really clinically focused around certain bundles so that you hit the new rule so everybody can still participate. There are other things that we can do to kind of work through it. So I think one of the things this does is it kind of puts a little flag in the back of your head that maybe we should think about enrollment and how we're going to set things up a little more and a little earlier than we have in the past. So I don't think this creates a problem looking at the data for the vast majority of participants. And for anybody who does, or for anybody who's got all their folks in one big entity, that might mean that we need to sit down and really figure out how to make it work. And the other thing that we could do is that MedChi does have the entities that pretty much accept anybody. So there's always the possibility, if you have somebody who's frozen out, we might be able to work it out that way. We want to be flexible and encourage participation that makes sense and takes into consideration clinical alignment around certain episodes or certain conditions. So I don't think it has to be a bad thing. I think it's really just an opportunity for us to think about how we set up going into 26.
Perfect. I think that's a great caveat there, Jean. Thank you. Don't go on mute, because your turn's next on the quality incentive bonus.
Okay, next slide. So one of the other big issues, and this one is not really anybody on this call's fault, but the APM incentive issue. There's been a lot of questions about that. Right now, Congress has put no money into the advanced payment bonus. So right now, the advanced payment bonus, which in the first year of EQIP was set at 5%, and then it's kind of gone down every year based on action by the federal government, is currently set at 0. However, for payment year 25, 26, and beyond, payments made under the QP for Medicare covered professional services under PFS will be updated annually at a 0.75% qualifying APM conversion factor, as opposed to the 0.25 conversion factor. So you do get that benefit from being an advanced payment model. So this might change the math a little bit for some folks who are in EQIP. Some people might say, you know, I can do really well in MIPS, which of course, as we all know, is a -9, +9 swing. And I want to do MIPS and I'm going to skip doing EQIP. You cannot be an EQIP and do MIPS because EQIP is a qualified advanced payment model. So if you do EQIP, you're foregoing that. So the math is a little different when you're making a decision on this going forward because you're not getting that guaranteed advanced payment bonus. There's still no downside risk at the practice level, and you still have the opportunity of shared savings. The conversion factor is a positive, but right now the advanced payment model is set at 0. So that's really kind of the decision points that you have to understand. This is something you definitely want to talk to the people who do your billing and do the logic on it and make sure they understand where they are or how they think makes sense. Now, having said that, MedChi and other medical organizations are working very hard to try to pass legislation to have the incentive returned and get back in there. There's legislation, which is mentioned on the slide there, that would increase it back up to a prior year level. We've been communicating with our delegation and talking about it, but obviously when we're talking about Medicaid cuts, Medicare physician cuts, and other cuts, this is in the mix with a lot of other things, and there's no guarantee about it. If anybody's interested in the lobbying effort, they can reach out to MedChi directly, obviously, because this is a kind of quasi-state committee. We're not going to get into lobbying or those kind of issues here. But again, you can reach out to us and we're going to do that. So that is the update with regards to the incentive payment. Back to you, Kim.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the performance year 5 episodes. So here we are, early summer or late spring, early summer, and we are currently working still. The analysis is almost finished. We're almost there. So we're working to try, as Jean said, working to try to keep as many episodes as possible. So they're going through multiple reviews. So we aim to have this list completed within the next week. And once that list is completed, I will send all of that information out to all of the EQIP entities' points of contact as soon as they're finalized. So watch out for that email. Also, just as a reminder, because I've gotten a lot of questions lately about the PY4 PACES episodes, and I just wanted to alert everybody that there is an actual playbook on our website. I dropped the link here in this slide deck, so when the slide deck gets sent out to you, you will have access to that, but it is on our website. And once you get in there, if you click on the actual there's a link for every single episode. You click on the link and it takes you directly to the episode definition. So everything is on there that you should hopefully have all of the information that you need, at least for the PY4 episodes. We'll also be, as soon as I get the episode list, I'll be creating a PY5 episode playbook as well. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. Again, I left the suggested episodes. Excuse me, sorry. I'm getting a tickle. I left the suggested or the possible episodes on here so that you guys could peruse it at your own leisure. We're trying to keep as many of these as possible. Okay. Moving on to understanding the payment cycle. Very sorry. So let's walk through how EQIP incentive payments are earned. There are 3 things that matter. Your cost savings, your actual episode costs, must fall below your inflation-adjusted 2019 target prices. Your quality performance, you must exceed the 75% composite quality score based on the claims measures. And then your minimum savings threshold. So you need to have at least 3% below your target price for the year. I'm very sorry. Just so you're also aware, so basically in a nutshell, cost savings, quality, minimum savings threshold. Those are the things that will equal your basic payment. An important note to understand is that the payments will go to the EQIP entity, not the individual MPIs or the individual practices. So the entity will decide how to allocate those funds internally. All right. Key milestones for the EQIP payment cycle. So we have the claims run out. This begins right after the program year ends, which means January 1st. This allows for any kind of late submitted claims to be processed, any correction claims that need to be processed. Then from January through June, yeah, that's the claims that's the claims run out. So then after that, we have what is called the reconciliation. So this happens between June and July, where HSC CRISP does the reconciliation, HSCRC and CMS reviews everything, and then your payment is then sent out 9 to 12 months after the year's end. Okay. So focusing on the runout period, this is again where we gather the final claims data, including anything submitted after the 31st, but tied to the performance year. It captures all the late claims, and it also ensures that the quality measures reflect all the services rendered within that episode window. No payments are ever issued until after this process is complete. If you're and again, the minimum savings threshold has to be met as well. So we use this period to audit, to go through all the claims. Then we enter the reconciliation period where EQIP calculates the savings and quality scores. Again, CMS validates it and HSCRC validates it, and then the incentive payments are issued. So again, the payments are issued directly to the entity, and it's up to the EQIP entity to decide where the money is dispersed from that point forward. So what can you do now to maximize payment potential? So if you're looking to improve your performance year, here's what you need to focus on. Timely and accurate claims, just making sure that you've got the right codes, dates to the trigger, and closed episodes. Monitor your composite quality scores. So use the reports, your EAP reports section to track your quality scores and performance. Something is very important, and I don't know how many actually do this, but coordinate with your EQIP entity team regularly. Review the stats with your team, show them how they're performing. Review the workflows. Do your providers know which activities need to happen in order to improve or impact the metrics? And then plan out any necessary adjustments. Something that I'm going to encourage everyone to do for PY5 especially is really digging into the CRISP tools in the CRISP portal, or the CRISP HIE portal, however you want to call it. Because in the HIE portal, if you're utilizing all the tools appropriately, you'll be able to see real-time hospitalizations and ED visits that you can leverage to, leverage that data to maybe intervene early or head off some things. Also using your EQIP dashboard, which monitors your performance. So happy to walk anybody through any of these things that maybe you need a little help with or a little refresher on. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to sit with you and kind of go through the portals so that you know what's all available to you, and you have the data that you need to actually make the necessary improvements moving ahead. All right. Moving on to enrollment updates. So PY5 enrollment is coming up. We are having an open enrollment webinar on June 18th at 12 p.m. I've dropped the link inside of the slides here to enroll for that. I would encourage everyone to enroll because we do have some slight additions to the application, nothing major, just a little bit that I'd like everybody to be fully aware of. The EQIP entity portal for open enrollment will open on July 1st and closes on August 30th. It's important that you that you meet with all your care partners, make sure they understand the expectations and the value of actually participating, and help them look for transformation opportunities. I would also recommend that you review your current participants. Make sure that the care partners on your list is accurate and up to date, and review the episodes that you're currently participating on, and then decide whether or not you want to keep, add, or drop any of the clinical episodes. Okay. It's also extremely important to designate an administrative leave. This is the person that we reach out to and contact when we're trying to, get any information out to your entity. So just ensure that whoever that point of contact is will be able to, trickle down the information that comes to them to the actual full entity. Plan ahead for the CMS vetting, so make sure that all of your care partners are in good standing, that they are active in the PCOS records, all of that stuff. Dot your I's, cross your T's, the whole 9 yards. Just as a reminder also, when you are looking to enroll and participate in episodes, you need 50 or more total episodes across all the clinical episodes that you are participating in. 11 or more episodes per selected category, and then again the 75% MPI threshold that we talked about earlier. Okay.
And
Here
just
are the
really
Yes.
quickly too, the one other thing is MedChi and CRISP are planning on having a series of educational events once we have exact approval on the bundles by specialty type. So we'll get information out on that. So as another preparation thing, what we'll do is we'll do 4 or 5 educational series where we by specialty talk about all the bundles, the ones that are currently existing and the ones that have been added, and just kind of give an overview. So if you have any practitioners who want to understand or think about the opportunity or the new opportunity, that'll be a good chance for them to do it. And we'll record all those and put them on the web. So if later on you want to, you want to share it with any of the practitioners who work with you, you can do that. So we're really trying to put everything together so everybody is prepared to get enrollment and set and going well and smoothly for later this summer.
Thank you, Jean. I just also put in here key enrollment period dates for you guys, just so you know what's actually happening and when. So we've already reviewed the enrollment webinar, the portal opening and closing. September begins the CMS vetting, and then October through December, we get the vetting results, and that's when we go through the whole care partner agreement thing, and then January 1st, performance year begins. Okay, now on to quality metrics. So we have an announcement. So I think it was the last subgroup committee meeting that we had given out that we were looking at perhaps doing away with the body mass index and adding blood pressure and diabetes. Essentially, in a nutshell, we're not going to do that for this year for PY5 because we are still carefully evaluating the pros and cons of making those changes. And until we get to, some sort of real genuine consensus across the board, we're not going to make any changes right now. So we want to make sure that any updates that we bring to you really bring real value without creating unnecessary burden for all of you all. So for this year, for PY5, we're going to continue with the same exact quality metrics. That's the advanced care plan. That's the documentation of current medications in the medical record and the BMI screening for follow-up there. Just remember, guys, that these are all claims-based. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the one that's triggering that claim. It could come also from the PCP that the patient sees, etc. And for any of you all who are really just flummoxed with how to incorporate some of these into your workflows, please reach out to me. I'm happy to sort of, help you brainstorm different ways that we can install these into your workflow if you feel like you're not meeting the metrics that you needed to meet. Um, any questions on anything that I have presented so far today?
Good morning. This is Shavah Lucas with Capital Digestive Care. I just wanted to ask two questions, actually. My first question is, we noticed in our CMS eligibility list, some of the providers who are part of EQIP and registered last year are still listed on the CMS list as an eligible provider. And I wanted to know, I know sometimes there's a delay in that communication between you all and CMS, but at what point should we be nervous that CMS didn't get the memo that these providers are in fact exempt due to EQIP participation?
Okay, so one more time, your actual question is, or
So
Jean?
the issue is when you go in the portal for CMS, they're not being labeled as being in an AAPM. Is that what you're saying?
That is
Okay.
correct, yes.
Okay, so here's what I would do. I would put a ticket into CMS
Yeah.
right away, and tell them that. And then the other thing you can do is if you send me an email directly, I can reach out to probably Dexter or somebody else over at CMS as well. But let's do both things. So if you want to just, like I said, put a ticket into CMS and then send me an email with a concern, and I'll connect you with one of the CMS reps, because if they're in the program, they should definitely be listed that way. And that's important, and that's something you should check, obviously, if anybody else who's on here, because you don't want a situation where they get the 9-point penalty for not filing MIPS. Okay.
Agreed. And then the other thing too to keep in mind, it can take up to 6 months for CMS to actually show the changes within their website too. So I don't know, how long these providers have been listed, to being in this AAPM, but just know that's about the time frame. If it's been more than 6 months, you're absolutely right. Do what Jean says, put the ticket in. And it's not going to hurt you to put it in now, even if it hasn't been 6 months, right? It's not going to hurt. But it can take up to that long before you actually see the changes in the program.
Okay, thanks for that reference of time. I'm not sure exactly right now which physicians or providers, were still showing up on the CMS list when we pulled it, but we'll pull it again and see if the information has caught up. And if not, yes, I'll put in a ticket. Thank you.
Yeah,
Also,
but I would also send me an email, because we have a contact and I can go directly to them for you. And this is for anybody, if you're having trouble with that, MedChi doesn't mind reaching out to them and saying, hey, can you try to help? And maybe it'll speed it along. And it certainly doesn't hurt. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Yep. 100%.
Okay. Thank you. My second question is, if for the next year coming, when we register our physicians, because we are having that issue with still continuing with the 75%, we have turnover. Physicians retire, they leave, and they were part of our 2019 data, baseline data, but they are not here anymore. So of course they're not touching any new patients. And so if we were to, let's say, select a new measure next year when we register, what would the baseline data be on for that measure?
Still 2019.
So we would have to submit to you 2019 data, or you would just go capture it?
We would capture it.
Yeah. I see. Okay.
Yeah. So right now we're only changing the baseline data for the ED episodes. They're kind of like our what do you want to call it? Our probationary thing, not probationary. What's the word I'm looking for, Jean?
Pilot.
Pilot. Thank you. It's a pilot.
So essentially what we did was we really listened to the input we got on a couple of these things, and there was a lot of pushback at the meeting on us changing the quality measures, and we heard everybody, and so we've decided just to stay with the ones that we have, and we'll think some more about it. The only exception to that was because Krista and Kim and I had a lot of meetings with different groups breaking down into subgroups by specialty was the ER folks were very consistent about wanting a change. So we thought if they really want to change, we could run them as a pilot and see how that change goes and then go from there with regards to the baseline year. With regards to the quality measures, we didn't have any consistency across the board, so we kept them. But I just think it shows that this committee, the HSCRC, particularly, and Chris, really listens to what this committee says. And when people bring up concerns or raise concerns, they try to make adjustments. And I think that's been the case the entire time this program's been in place. Going back to the beginning, Krista and Will made a lot of changes to issues around enrollment and other things. And I think that's something that we should be really appreciative of the good work the HSCRC does for us. So, but again, the ER issue with regards to the baseline year is the pilot we're testing on that, but the other is all going to be the 2019 baseline year.
Good morning, all. Thanks for this update. I have a quick question with regard to the quality metrics. So somebody like me that I do palliative medicine, should I be documenting all these quality metrics? For instance, yes, the BMI for me, because definitely advanced care planning is something that I do on a daily basis, and I update medications. Mm-hmm. But things like BMI, I tend not to focus on, except in the scenarios where I have patients, especially some cancer patients or some heart failure patients that have lost significant amount of weight. Mm-hmm. And I don't document it in terms of BMI, but I document it in terms of the amount of weight that they've lost.
Right. So there are codes that you can use when you're doing that documentation that you can throw into your billing that will trigger those. It'll capture what you are doing. And then the other thing to also remember, all of these codes are throughout the episode time frame. So these codes could also be captured by any other provider that they may be seeing. So if it's outside of, let's say they go to their cardiologist or something and they, happen to get their BMI and the cardiologist throws a code in for the BMI, that also counts for you as well. But we have, if you actually look at the CMS guided definition of the BMI body mass index, there's codes in there that you can use to just throw into your billing to make sure that you do capture it when you are focusing on it.
And Dr. Zama, for you, because you're often at Cap Region and in the hospital, a lot of times the hospital is doing that on intake, exactly, and other practitioners are doing it. So one of the things too you can do, and I'm not sure if you're in this year or you're planning on going in next year, I don't recall, but if you're in already, Olivia could probably meet with you one-on-one and show you where you are with the data from last year if you were in last year. If you're in this year, we don't have data yet, but as soon as we do, we can look at that and see what's happening with you specifically. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Because the reason I brought it up, I didn't know that if anybody documents that gets captured. I was worried that I personally have to document all those for it to get captured.
Yeah, no, it's within the episode period. So as long as it happens within the episode period, it does count towards you.
But I do think it's important when you're making your plan on clinical redesign to think about the practitioners you work with, and you should really watch that data carefully to make sure that it is getting captured. And if it's not, or you're too low and you're not going to do as well on the shared savings, that you come up with a plan. And that plan could be just coordinating better with the other practitioners involved. And Olivia is more than happy to meet with you and kind of talk you through some of those ideas.
Appreciate your guidance.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Let's see, we got something in the chat. Let's see.
Yes, Dawn, we can certainly do that. Olivia, why don't you just send the CMS coding documents out to everybody on the EQIP subgroup just to follow up, so Dawn has it and everybody else has it as well.
Certainly. I'll send it with the recording and the slide deck after the meeting.
Perfect. And we'll send that out to everybody. Victoria.
Good morning. I had a couple of questions on some previous slides that were shown. So for the slides that were showing the screenshots of the PACES episodes.
Let me get back there.
Okay, thank you.
These?
Yes. So the ones that are highlighted in blue are the ones that are in PY4. So are you saying that you're finalizing the ones that are not highlighted in blue to see if they're going to be added? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. And then my second question was about the slide that says claims run out and final payment.
I don't remember which direction I'm in here. Here we go. This?
Yes, that slide. I just wanted to ask a question about that last bullet for the no payments are issued if savings or quality thresholds are not met. So are you saying that, for example, if an EQIP entity generates overall shared savings after the performance year ends for performance year 3 or calendar year 2024, if they generate shared savings but they're on quality probation, that they wouldn't receive an incentive check? Is it only for the EQIP entities on quality probation?
Well, the quality, remember, if you get savings, right? If you make savings and you've met all you met this minimum savings threshold, then you would get your savings, but your quality, remember, that also is like you get like extra, help me out here. You get extra, Jean, extra money for each quality threshold that you've actually met.
Right. So maybe what we can do, Victoria, we can have Olivia send out the summary of the breakdown, but your savings percentage is tied to how well you do on your quality measures.
Right. I'm just, so what the slide says, I think is just a little bit confusing to me, because if you generate shared savings at the end of a performance year, even if your quality measures, like let's say you're on probation, like you're not, because of the 20th, being below the 20th percentile for any of the quality measures, which puts you on probation. But if you're still generating shared savings, the way the slide looks, it would say that if an entity was on probation and they still generated shared savings, they wouldn't receive an incentive check. That's how I'm reading.
No, I see what you're
Okay.
saying. So I can certainly make that correction on the slide so that it reads a little bit better. Yeah, I can do that. I see. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, thank you for clarification.
Sure. Any other questions?
That was it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Do we have to put codes into our billing to show that we have? So yes, remember that everything in EQIP is claims based. So if it's not in the claims, it doesn't get counted. Does that answer your question?
And if anybody has questions about things like that, feel free to have them reach out to MedChi, and we're happy to do a one-on-one or have a discussion with you to go through this.
Same thing here for me as well. I'm happy to do that as well. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right, let's get back to where I was. So then I guess if there's no more questions, we can wrap up today's session. Just real quick, I'm going to make one more call. Does anybody have any other questions or comments they want to make?
All right. Well,
all right.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for your continued participation in EQIP. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all and have a nice weekend.
You too.